Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 4 o'clock live. As you can see, I'm in the Christmas spirit, and I have Sober Fausto with me today. How are you?
I am too blessed to be stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed. I just got to give you a high five before we start, because this guy is amazing. You are so unique, and you're so interesting, and like you just have this way where you can just like come in and captivate an audience, and you're not afraid to talk to people. Right. So you guys wouldn't know, but before we got rolling, one of the owners was here, and I just love how you'll just like ask people questions, and you're just like, what's your purpose?
Right.
You know, and like you just get to it, and I find that so refreshing, because people have such a hard time talking about real stuff. You know, like things are so surface, and what do we get from surface talk? Absolutely nothing. You know, and so thank you for being you and being your authentic, cool self that you are. So if you could share with everybody just a little bit about who you are, and then we'll dig into some of your background.
Sweet. Well, first I just want to say thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, of course.
I felt cool.
We're done, right?
I'm like, wow, that's me? Yeah, so, you know, I was born in Orange County. I grew up with a father who drank and did drugs, and my mom was the codependent excess warrior. And so I didn't really have I didn't have any direction growing up. I was always outside, from what I can remember, and so I would always try to look for a male figure for guidance. And I can remember when I was 7 years old, the first male figure I looked up to were these older boys, and I was sexually abused. And in that moment, I didn't see it as anything wrong. I just kind of saw it as like, I'm accepted, I'm understood, and I'm important. And so that wasn't even the trauma for it. The trauma was the day after when they bullied me again. Because now I'm like, oh, it's my fault. So that's where the shame and the fear and the guilt started. And so I developed traits to protect myself, which was like the know-it-all, the funny guy, people pleaser, to avoid that feeling of rejection. And so that went on, and the next thing that helped me cope with that was relationships in middle school. And so now that I call it the love drug, you know?
Yeah, explain that. So you said that relationships helped you at the time through that. So what was that like for you? How did you use that as a coping skill at the time, which obviously wasn't the healthiest thing, but for people out there, they're doing that. So what did that look like so they can be more aware? It
was just somebody giving me attention of the opposite sex. And so again, having no direction and having this feeling of feeling alone in life and not seen, it was just having somebody make me feel seen. And so I'd become obsessed because I believed like this was the answer to all my problems. And so it was just any relationship with the opposite sex. And so I remember the first one was in middle school, and I felt understood, I felt accepted, and I felt seen. And so that's what it was until, like most relationships, they don't last. You're young, it happens.
Right.
But to me at that time, it was like the world was falling apart.
Devastating, yeah.
And so I would jump into working out, getting piercings, getting tattoos, and thinking that's what's gonna fix me. And sure enough, when another relationship would come into my life, I felt like I figured it out. And so I would jump into another relationship, and then that relationship would fail. So I'd have to go back to the blueprint, and it was like more tattoos, different style, different music, working out more, and I'd get into another relationship. So I was like, okay, I figured it out. This is in 9th grade now, my third relationship, and then that didn't work out. And so that's when I started really spiraling, and I said, okay, I need to figure out how to get out of school now. I can't do this. And so I started creating lies to get out of school. I ended up being thrown in a psych ward because I said I was gonna kill myself as a joke, not knowing that they were gonna 5150 me. And so that happened, got out of that, and then I got to a place of like getting independent studies. Now I don't have to face anybody. And in that season's when I was introduced to alcohol and marijuana. And so the same thing I got from that relationships with people is what I got from the drink. It was like a feeling of acceptance, feeling understood, feeling important. I didn't have anxiety, I had confidence, I had friendships. And so to me it was like, okay, like this is what I needed my whole life. And so that opened up the gates to curiosity of like, what else is out there? And so when it took me down a road of heavier drugs, that's when I experienced, you know, being molested. And again, I didn't see it as wrong because it happened to me as a child. So if it's happening to me again, this must be my story. And because there was arousal connected to it, like physical arousal, I felt like, again, this is my fault. Like if it wasn't my fault, I wouldn't have felt this arousal to it. So I shame spiraled again, fear, shame, and guilt. And after that situation happened, I said, okay, I just got to party. And I was the party guy. I was the guy with the ecstasy. I was the guy that, had the coolest spots to go to, the fun guy, the class clown, all that stuff, right? And I'm not in school, so I don't have to worry about sobering up. And I did that throughout all high school until 18. And then again, I found a relationship. So I felt, okay, now I figured it out. And as soon as that relationship ended when I was 21, same thing happened. I spiraled. And I used to believe that these girls I would date knew what happened to me. I thought because I was molested by men that they must know, and that's why they don't want to be with me. And so you can imagine what that felt like for me. And nobody knows this stuff. And so I would self-destruct, go deep into my addiction, change how I looked, became a bartender, became a DJ at 21. I'm like, okay, now I can party and get paid. Maybe I figured it out. And sure enough, at 22, another relationship comes in. I'm like, okay, that's what I needed. That falls apart at 25. And so I believe she knows what happened to me as a kid. Everyone knows, everyone's gonna leave me. It's because I'm not meant to be with females or I just can't be loved. And so that's when I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. And I tried committing suicide. I had 30 grand mal seizures in a month. I'm getting fired from my jobs. My mom has cancer. Dad's not in the picture. I'm about to lose everything. And that was the moment for me where, and I swear it's only because my mom was sick that I got sober, because I knew if I did not stop, I'm gonna lose everything, and what are they gonna do? And so that was the moment where I had this spiritual experience of that everything that happened in my life didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And it was that perception change of like, wait, are you telling me that I was strong enough to experience all that pain because I'm gonna help people grow through that pain? And that was the beginning of my sobriety, was that.
So with that spiritual moment that you had, how do you think that happened? Like, yes, you had the knowing and the insight that you needed to be there for your mom and those things, but what do you think that was? Because you hear a lot of people saying, that didn't happen for me. I didn't have this moment. They don't know what it feels like. Can you walk us through what that physically felt like and what was happening that it came to be?
Yeah, imagine when you have a really bad headache, right? And it's excruciating, maybe a migraine.
Migraine, yeah.
And you take that Advil or that Motrin and it goes away. It was a feeling of like that, but imagine that pain, that headache was my whole life. And all of a sudden, I experienced relief for the first time in my life.
So surrender. It sounds like you had the willingness to finally surrender to what was happening.
Yeah, and I didn't choose to surrender. Surrender chose me because I got to a place of desperation. And I believe that for me, it was like, I needed to get so desperate to get to this place of brokenness where I had nothing left in my life to live for, but this concept of a God. And when I experienced that concept through a buddy of mine reading some scripture, it blew my mind. I said, how can words from a book take away all this pain I've ever felt? I've always wanted this my whole life. This is what drugs did for me. This is what alcohol did for me. This is what, sex and relationships did.
So that connection, that want, that need that you were looking for in all these different things, what I'm hearing is that you found that connection finally with your God.
Right.
And with your true self. What did that feel like when you found your God?
I felt like, for the first time in my life, I felt comfort inside my skin. I felt like I had a purpose in life. I felt like I was strong and courageous, and I just felt like there was meaning.
When did you start feeling comfortable sharing your experience and your truth? Because I really commend and I appreciate and respect you sharing about your past, because a lot of people go through a lot of trauma, especially men that don't want to talk about it. And there's so much guilt and shame and isolation that comes with that. Right. So how was it that you were able to start sharing about that?
Yeah. So for me, from day one, when I had that experience, I've been an open book. But I had it as a secret for like 18 years maybe. I wasn't saying nothing. And when I share on the sexual trauma too, the part that makes it hard, and I want people to know, is like, since I enjoyed it, I went back for it. I knew it was happening. I went back multiple times to allow it to happen. And so there was a lot of shame to share that, because I felt like everybody hated it when it happened to them. So for me to say like I actually enjoyed it was hard to open up about that. That took me a little bit more time in my recovery to admit that. I was able to open up about what happened, but to say that I actually enjoyed it, like the depth of the pain and how it makes me feel like I'm going to do that to somebody because statistics say that, or I feel uncomfortable around kids because I think people's parents think I'm going to do that to their kids. That's just in my mind. And every relationship that I've been in with a female, I would always get images of the trauma and going like, why is this happening? Like, what does this mean? You know, like, and so it was just, I knew from going to AA, finding people who've been through what I've been through, reading books, and really diving into healing that says, if you don't share it, you're gonna wear it and it's gonna wear you down. And I said, I don't wanna wear this stuff no more. I've been wearing it my whole life. And so just hearing information like that, or wisdom you can say, is what allowed me to just go like, I'm gonna be vulnerable. Because I've learned vulnerability creates relatability, and relatability creates connectability, and connection is the opposite of addiction. So I want that connection.
Preach. Yes.
And so that's why I said I will share it all day.
Yeah.
And I wear it on the back of my shirt. You know, it's like,
it's crazy when we start sharing. It heals us.
Yeah.
You know, I never knew the power of that until I started doing it, and until I started like really being vulnerable and being my true self. And you know, when we're just genuine and authentic, it's like, oh, you can breathe, you can take off this like armor that we wear, and then people genuinely come into our lives. You know, like we attract that.
Yeah.
I know you just mentioned a few of them. So what would you say are the main components to your like daily recovery? What's your routine? What are some of your suggestions that you could give to people out there that are struggling with their recovery?
First thing I would say is reach out for help. You know, no one can help you unless you ask. And find a community to be a part of, whatever that is. You know, mine was AA in the beginning, but I also involve myself in churches and people who recover out loud through social media and stuff that we do events. So I say, ask for help, find a community, and work a program, whatever that is, because I know that, you know, change doesn't happen because of a prayer and you just change automatically, or if you wish for it, it's like you got to put in action. And so a lot of places that you can go to will give you a way of healing. And so I believe that you got to do that because you got to pay it forward.
You have to.
If you don't give it, you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And I know for me, the thing that brings the most fulfillment in my life is helping another addict out or another alcoholic. Like I can make good money, I can have my businesses, I can go to cool places around the world and speak in front of thousands of people. But I'll be honest, I've been miserable in my life doing that in my recovery because I always got to go back to the basics of helping somebody else out.
Right.
And then that's what refills my soul.
Yeah.
And then I can actually enjoy life.
Absolutely. So I know that's your passion. Would you say your passion is the same as your purpose? And if not, what do you think your actual purpose is in this life?
Well, I believe passion is what you do for yourself and purpose is what you do for others.
Okay.
So my passion is for me to be able to get to this place of spiritual enlightenment because I just love getting to this place where I can feel this joy in life. And my purpose is to be able to give that to other people. Because if life is suffering, right? I believe the moment that we're born is when we start dying slowly. And we know bad shit's gonna happen, right? Bad stuff's gonna happen in the world.
No matter what.
And so I believe my purpose is to be able to give people a moment of joy and excitement and acceptance and understanding. And so they can pass that on and pass that on. Because we might not be able to change the world, but you could change someone else's world. And then there's that domino effect. So I believe that's what my purpose is because it's the one thing that I do naturally and I just love it, you know. How
do you stay in that space of being centered and present and aware enough to do that? What do you do for yourself?
First thing I got to do is slow down. I got to slow down because if I don't slow down, then miracles look like coincidences and then life becomes black and white. So I always got to slow down.
Let's say that again though.
Yeah.
Miracles will look like coincidences. That's so true because I always look for what they say are the God shots, right?
Yeah.
And like those signs and those synchronicities, and it's so true that you need to slow down so you can see that they're miracles.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Because miracles are like a high.
They are a high.
And I want that, right?
Yeah, me too. We deserve it. We deserve it. We worked hard.
Yeah. And so to be able to slow down and get a little dose of a high each day is like, I'm all for it. And so it's slowing down to see that because then I'll get out of my own way. The second thing I got to do is I have a balance of whether it's going to a meeting or to church, at least once a week, at least, maybe once every 2 weeks, right? Because I got some time under my belt. But going there to stay grounded, and then I have to the next thing I got to do is I got to make sure that I spend time alone. So for me, what I do is I go out into like nature and I go by myself and I sit there and I'm able to take in the energy from the nature, and I'm able to fill my soul with love. Because that's what it comes down to. I need to fill my soul with love without having to go to people, so then I don't try to force things to happen or enable or become codependent. So being able to go out in nature and fill my cup up with love allows me to be balanced. And so just doing that and paying it forward.
I love that. I do the same thing. Being in nature, it's like I get an hour outside of LA by myself and I can already feel it. And that's just so cool, because you went, you said like 25 years being codependent, right? In relationships and not being able to be alone to now, to seek that out. And I think that's like one of the hardest things for people in addiction, not in addiction, just in life, is being okay with yourself and enjoying your own company and being able to fill up that cup, because people have a really, really hard time with that.
Yeah.
What do you think you've learned the most about yourself in those quiet moments when you're just with you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I believe for me, what I've learned is that I just kind of have this understanding that I have this ability to really like take in spirituality like a lot of people can't. I get like this high from being able to connect the dots to why people do what they do, and why am I here on earth, what I'm supposed to do, and how to like read certain texts, whether it's the Bible, AA book, self-help books, spiritual books. I'm able to read it and like take it in and like break it down and turn it into this art, to be able to turn it into like a group therapy thing, or be able to do a video on it for people to break it down. And I've noticed that people have told me, they go, you have a way of speaking that connects. You're not just sharing it like with information, because information doesn't change lives, right? It's emotional connection. It's emotional, yeah. And so I've learned I have this ability to be able to channel information into emotions. And the more I'm by myself, I understand that. Like, I'm not meant for this world to live a day-to-day life. Like, I'm meant to be that person that's all over the world, sleeping in my car because I want to, being homeless because I want to, staying with monks, staying with the Iceman, staying with pastors, like whatever. And the more I'm by myself, the more I understand that. And it makes me realize, like, I'm not supposed to fit in. I'm supposed to stand out. Yeah. And that's what it teaches me the most, because we know a lot of us want to fit in. It's hard to stand out. It's lonely to stand out. It is, yes. And if you don't understand that you're not supposed to fit in, you're supposed to stand out, you can go crazy and fall back into old patterns or relapse or kill yourself. And so that helps me recenter myself to understand, like, walk in confidence. Like you said, I can walk into a room and light up the room. It allows me to believe that that's not the ego, that's just the gift that you were given. Absolutely. I love that. So what would you say is the most positive thing you've been able to bring out of your trauma? I think the most positive thing is to be able to be a voice for people that have been through it. When did you realize that you had this voice, and that you, because he's like a motivational speaker, you guys. He's going to give all the plugs after. You're going to know where you can see him. So you have this voice and you're able to do this. When did you realize, like, I got this, like, this is my gift? It changes. Okay. There's times I'll have a season where I'm like, I got this in my recovery, right? Like my first year recovery, I'm like, I got this. And then I get depressed. And then I got it again in my second year, and I get depressed. Third year, same thing. I believe, not till recently. And like, I've spoken with pretty big, well-named people. I've helped out celebrities and stuff. And I still didn't believe that I had a gift. I still doubted myself all the time, because low self-worth is my biggest thing. And people can tell me how good I am and how gifted I am, but if I don't believe it, then it doesn't matter. And most people don't even realize, but I have social anxiety. Me too. Really bad. Me too. And people probably wouldn't know that because you talk to everybody, you speak, but it's like I do. It's like, it's a constant war. So I think once I started my business this year and started training facilities and running groups, I think that's when I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, I do have a gift. Like, everywhere I go, I'm always running into, like, dude, that was the best thing ever, or like, you're amazing, or can you come back, or they want to work with you more. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I just didn't see it because I was still stuck in a 9-to-5 work and only being able to do so much and think I have more to offer, but not getting the opportunity to do it. Yeah, and like pushing through that uncomfortableness. You know, for me, when I started doing stuff online, it was like so uncomfortable. You know, because I have social anxiety, I get red, I have all these things that go on. It's just me. It's how I am.
But it's like the more you do it, the more you start realizing like, wow, I can do this,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like people just need to have the courage to take that first step, you know, and step by step you go, oh, I can do this. And you do a little more and a little more, which you've obviously done.
Right.
And now you've created this whole, you know, movement within who you are in your heart and your drive and your
Right.
gift.
What is the thing that you get when you spend time by yourself? Like, you asked me that question.
Yeah,
like,
what
do you
do
get?
I get? I connect to myself and everything around me. I'm a real deep thinker and I'm very spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. And I'll just go down this rabbit hole, you know, in my thoughts. But I get very connected to energy. And I feel that I can feel like the interconnection between people and life and death and rebirth, and I can truly feel myself. Like I so often will be driving, it's busy, I'm running around, I'm doing things, and I'll just like have this moment where everything's and it like slows down, and I'll have this clarity. Like, wow, like we're all here for a reason.
That's amazing.
And like what you're saying, like we need to stand out and we need to make a difference. And what's the point if we're not doing those things?
Right.
You know, like I say a lot, I feel like us in recovery, we have this superpower because we have this self-awareness and this ability to like push harder and forward and try to genuinely help and make a difference. And we have to start with ourselves to do that.
Right.
So yeah, I think about a lot of that stuff. So yeah, thanks for asking me that. When you're talking about the low self-worth, now today, what would your closest friends say are your top 3 best qualities?
Oh man, I always hear I have a way of just bringing positivity into wherever I go, spreading hope, and making people feel safe.
Okay.
Those are like the big 3 I always get from people.
What would you say yours are if you're speaking about yourself? Are they the same or are they different?
Part of me is like, I got nothing, right? Nothing.
I can't.
Oh, like maybe my eyelashes, I don't know, right? Yeah. My eyebrows sometimes. For sure, selflessness. You know, I love people. I'm addicted to loving on people. You know, listening, and just genuine care.
I feel that from you. What's one thing that you're still working on?
Codependency.
Codependency.
Yeah, for sure. Because I went celibate for about the first 8 months of my sobriety. Thought God sent me somebody, right? I'm like, yeah, she likes cats, she has tattoos, right? But she's sober, right? And then after that, it didn't work out, and I went back to being celibate. And then I met somebody, and we dated for 2 years, and it didn't work out. And it put me through a spiral because I thought that I broke it. I thought I found somebody that I was gonna be with. You know, it was the first time I lived together with somebody. It was healthy in my eyes, and you know, we traveled, we didn't fight, none of that stuff I'm used to. And so when that fell apart, it really put me in this place of like, I missed something. And the longer I am away from it, it'll be a year this month, I've realized that I was still chasing the love of my father, which is emotionally detached, and I didn't see it. And so I've been struggling with trying to figure out like, how do I break it, for one? And when I do feel like I break it, because I can be alone, but then I found myself attracted to certain people still. And now that I have a lot of attention, I didn't have a lot of attention growing up. Now where I'm at in my life, I'm getting a lot of attention, a lot of affection, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
Because it's feeding my childhood wound.
Right.
So now before I didn't have choices, now I feel like I have too many choices. And so it's like, I can experience what I believe may be something healthy, and then I leave. Because I'm like, something doesn't feel right. And then I start beating myself up because I'm aware of it. I'm like, wow, this is probably good, but I can't enjoy it. Like, I don't like this. Why am I like this? And then I can see something else and be like, oh, okay, maybe this one. And then it's like, it's unhealthy. And it's like, I thought I figured this out. What's going on? I read the books. I will be alone. I will fast. I go to meetings. I'm open about it. And sometimes a part of me feels like, will I ever be able to find somebody that complements me, and will I be able to notice it? You know? I love that you said that, and I love how honest you are, because recovery is a journey. You know, and people can be sober for a very, very long time, and it does not mean that we don't still struggle with things. You know, it's like
I struggle with a lot of things too in my life, and a lot of the same thoughts in a lot of different ways. And being able to just voice that and talk about it and say, hey, I'm still struggling with this. And then other people don't feel so alone, because a lot of people have this idea in their head that you just get sober and everything's like, oh, we're just going to go to therapy and everything's going to be fixed.
Yeah, it's not.
And it doesn't. But being able to move through that,
Yeah.
with love and compassion for yourself, and understand that it's like a little fluffy flying around my head, that everything's going to be okay. So thanks for sharing that.
Because one thing I want to share on that topic too, for anybody that's watching that deals with suicidal thoughts, even recently, and because I'm open, I almost killed myself recently, and nobody knew, and it was because of that. The whole what I just talked about, like, wow, I'm so aware of this problem of codependency, and I'm sober 4 years, and I got a business, and I got good people, and I'm reading and meditating close to God, doing church work, doing all those nice things. People say nice things about me, but yet this thing, and I'll get so angry at God, like, why did you have to make this such a hard thing for me to break? I hate that I can't walk into a room and not get distracted by thinking, is that the right person for me? Do they like me? Why don't they like me? What is it about me? Is it the trauma that is still affecting me till this day? Why do I have to stand out sometimes so much?
Yeah.
And seeing other people happy and wondering, what am I doing wrong? And and I can't just like be aware of it and let it go. Like, it doesn't go away. It'll last weeks. And it was really tough. And I just share that with people because, I think the more sober you get, then you can't run away. I can't get high, I can't drink. So now it's like, I want to escape, but what do I do? And so I just tell anyone that's watching, what helped me was having somebody that was able to let me express my thoughts in a safe space and just listen to me and allow me to cry, allow me to feel, allow me to be angry without them trying to give me tough love or get over it, because I didn't need that. I needed to express it and feel safe.
Listening is by far some of the best medicine out there. To listen without thinking about what you're going to say in response, and without trying to give it. You just want to be listened to sometimes.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Moving on to a different little note here, different chapter. Where do you see yourself in over the next year? Let's not reach too far ahead, but 2022 is
December.
coming up. Yeah, so in a year from now, ideally, what do you want to be doing?
Yeah, so right now what I'm doing is I have a group facilitating business where I go to treatment centers and I have my own curriculum and I run group. That's already full. So the next thing I created was I do group facilitating and leadership training for staff members in rehab facilities and mental health. So I go in, it's a 2-hour course, I train all the staff members, the 5 traits to be effective and exciting group facilitator, the 5 group hacks to make it, like fun and fast, and techniques, and then the wisdom of working in treatment, understanding this one thing I always share is the clients are the inmates and the staff are the guards. And what do the inmates do? They're watching everybody. So I teach them, watch what you do, because they're trying to see who they can get over. And so that's what I do now is I train facilities. And so that's what I'm really passionate about right now. And so within a year, I want to be able to be the person that when somebody's opening up a facility and they're getting everybody ready, I'm the go-to guy to get all their staff ready for that aspect of the company. And I've been working with companies, I see it happening, I'm seeing how it works and, sharpening it up. And so within a year, I see myself being that person, being in Hawaii or New York or different places and doing that. And really
You'll definitely be doing that. Yeah. You got way too much going on to not be. You got it in you. You got that energy, that vibe for sure. Where can people find you if they want to look you up?
Yeah, so people can find me at Sober Fausto on Instagram, Sober Fausto on Facebook, soberfausto.com, and then my movement, the SoCal Hope Dealers. You can find that on Instagram, Facebook, and the website, So those 2 things. So Sober Fausto and SoCal Hope Dealers, and you can see videos that I got. I got a YouTube, just Sober Fausto, and we got a lot of good stuff, a lot of motivation, a lot of counseling videos, a lot of what we do, like the fun stuff, all our events that we do that people can be a part of and stuff like that, and just good vibes.
Okay, right on. So if you had a mission, maybe you already have one, but a mission statement, something that in a paragraph describing yourself and who you are and what you do, what would you say? To be able to, so my mission is to make people feel safe and like they're not alone and like they matter. I want every single interaction I have with somebody to get that out of it.
because I know what it feels like to not have that for a long time. And I think a lot of people don't give people the time of day to do that because people are so stuck in self or, you know, what they want, or they have anxiety, or they don't know. And so that's my mission, is just to make people feel safe, seen, and just loved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last thing.
Yeah.
Sober fun. You do some cool things. And you have a hobby. I wish you had it here, but they can look you up. Tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, so well, one of my hobbies that I do is I jump rope. And I found out I'm pretty good.
He's really, really good.
And so, and it's wild. Yeah, I just picked up a jump rope. I saw this guy that's the #1 guy in the world, and I said, I want to meet this guy, and I want to say his jump rope saved my life. And so I would watch him and manifest it and visualize it, and I got so good at what I do with the jump rope that only one person can do it that I've seen, which is my mentor. And I just started making videos, and I started meeting people and doing videos, and they did stories on me and stuff like that. And so that's one of my things. Cool. Yeah, jump rope, spiritual jump roping, right?
Yeah, there you go. Well, right on, man. Thank you so much for coming on. You are such a blessing to so many people, and I'm proud to call you my friend. So
I appreciate you. You made me feel very understood, accepted, seen, and connected.
Definitely.
So I appreciate you and what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful week. We will see you next Thursday. Next Friday.
Right. Check out The Edge.
I don't know why I said Thursday.
Check it out.
Friday. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Sweet. Cool. You're amazing.